Super Bowl 55 is this weekend, and this could be one of the hardest games to ever predict as we potentially have the best quarterback matchup in the game's history as we have Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs going up against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who wins this game and how much do they win by? Find out next in my Super Bowl 55 preview and predictions video. Hello everybody, I'm Bailey Leisure, and today on my channel I will be giving my Super Bowl 55 preview and predictions as I will talk about the upcoming matchup this Sunday between the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So representing the AFC is the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, who were pretty good this season, although at times they were pretty inconsistent, but in the playoffs, especially in the AFC Championship game, they are the Chiefs of last year, as this season they finished 14-2, which earned them the #1 seed, and they had the best regular season record in all of the NFL. They defeated the Cleveland Browns in a very close game, a game in which star quarterback Patrick Mahomes left that game and was placed in the concussion protocol, but backup quarterback Chad Henne was able to make enough plays to just scrape by in that game. And then in the AFC Championship game, a game in which I thought was going to be a pretty close game between the Buffalo Bills, who were one of the hottest teams in the AFC and in the NFL in general, the Kansas City Chiefs were able to get it going thanks in part to the speed of that offense and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. So the Kansas City Chiefs, what is one of the biggest reasons they're back in this game? Well, it's a pretty obvious answer. The play of star quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who prior to this start of the NFL season signed that massive $500 million extension, which I think is the richest in North American pro sports history. He's lived up to that contract. He's thrown for over 4,700 yards. He threw for 38 touchdowns. He was on a pace where he could win another NFL MVP, but he was a little bit inconsistent, and Kansas City was a little bit off toward the end of the regular season, but he's a big reason why they're here, and when he's on, he's the best in the game. Their defense is pretty on par to what it was last season. It's not elite, but they play well when the big stage is coming. Their defense was really good in the postseason last year, and they've been pretty good this postseason as well. When you have Tyrann Mathieu and the Honey Badger, great secondary help. He's also can blitz, which is great. You got that really great pass rush of Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Chris Jones got a big contract extension as well prior to the start of the NFL regular season. You got Bashaud Breeland in the secondary, Sorensen, a couple other players, but I think their defense, with how fast and high powered their offense is, I think their defense is very capable of making enough stops for Kansas City to win these big games. This team is led by head coach Andy Reid, the future NFL Hall of Famer, who last season finally got the big monkey off his back and won his first Super Bowl after spending, over 20 years in the NFL. This go around, I think he's going to have that pressure off him. And I think as far as what's going on the field, I think he's going to be much more relaxed. And, once you win your first Super Bowl, I'm not saying the pressure is not there, but, when you're like him and you've been chasing it for a long time and now you finally got one, winning another one, it's not easy, but not having that pressure of finally winning your first one, I think it's really going to go a long way. And Kansas City really has a great opportunity, especially with Patrick Mahomes and that offense and, what they have on that team to, potentially be the next big NFL dynasty. Representing the NFC is probably going into the season the dark horse team of the NFL in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who got one of the biggest acquisitions in the NFL offseason. I'll talk about him in a minute. They finished the season 11-5, entering the postseason as a 5th seed. There have been times where a lower seed team gets hot in the NFL postseason and is able to make it to the Super Bowl. The 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers and the 2010 Green Bay Packers come into mind. They entered this postseason as the 5th seed, as stated before. They knocked off the Washington football team in a much closer game than people anticipated. They faced their division rival, the New Orleans Saints, in the divisional round. New Orleans in the regular season crushed Tampa Bay twice. But thanks to a great performance on defense and their offense not making those mistakes, they were able to, finally slay the Giant and take down the New Orleans Saints. And then they faced the Green Bay Packers, led by probable MVP Aaron Rodgers. And thanks to a great first half performance and making sure that despite the turnovers that happened in the second half of that game, we're able to hold the Packers to just 6 points off 3 interceptions. And they were able to win that game and reach their first Super Bowl since 2002. So who was the big leader of this? Well, it's pretty obvious. Tom Brady, who came from New England after 20 years, 6 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances. After last season, I think, and the way the New England Patriots went out in the wild card round, I think a lot of people thought Tom Brady was on the decline and New England was, a thing of the past. Well, the Patriots didn't do well, but Tom Brady, this year, he's proved very much that he's got enough left in the tank. While it might not be the Tom Brady of old, this is a guy at 43 years old threw 40 touchdowns. He hasn't been perfect this postseason, especially in the second half of that NFC Championship game, but he's a big reason why they're where they're at. There are certain teams, that are really led by defenses, and especially a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their defense, I think, has been the main story of this postseason, and despite it being somewhat young, I think it's been red hot in the postseason, and it's been, especially in those last 3 games, especially in the divisional round against the Saints and in the NFC Championship game. This is a really great defensive line led by Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaquille Barrett, the linebacker. Jason Pierre-Paul won a Super Bowl, with the New York Giants. So I think probably Tom Brady is probably glad that, he's on his side this time. You have Ndamukong Suh, the former All-Pro. Their linebacker core led by Devin White. He's a very great player. I think he's one of the most underrated defensive players in the NFL. They have a young secondary, but I think with, Davis and also Antoine Winfield Jr., they got a lot of pieces, and that it's definitely this offense against this defense is going to be a big test for that Kansas City offense. And if they can get, they're able to contain that big pass rush is going to be one of the things I look for in this game. This team's head coaching is led by Bruce Arians, the second-year head coach, who's spent, didn't get his first official head coaching job until 60 years old. When he coached the Arizona Cardinals, he took that team to 3 consecutive 10-win seasons, including an NFC Championship appearance. We remember what he did in 2012 with the rookie quarterback in Andrew Luck, and when Chuck Pagano, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts at the time, went down, who had a bout with leukemia, Bruce Arians was able to come in and fill in, and he did a great job. Bruce Arians has been one of the best head coaches, I think, of the past decade or so. And after he left the Arizona Cardinals and retired, he came out of retirement, and now he's back, and now he's in the Super Bowl. I think his coordinators are a big part of the reason why he's successful as well. Not taking anything away from Bruce Arians, but when Todd Bowles has done a great job as a defensive coordinator, and I think eventually within the next year or two, he'll get a head coaching job again in the NFL. Byron Leftwich has really done a good job as the offensive coordinator, but you could say with the offense led by Tom Brady, you don't really need a lot. But I think Leftwich has done a great job as well, and I could see him in the next couple years getting a head coaching job as well. Nothing against Kansas City's coordinators either. You got Eric Bieniemy, who's should have had a head coaching job by now, and then you have some others. But both head coaches have really strong coordinators. So these are the 3 keys I would be looking at going into this game. Number 1, and I've talked about it a little bit before, but that will be the Chiefs' battered O-line going up against Tampa Bay's defensive line and their big pass rush. So in that AFC Championship game, the Kansas City Chiefs unfortunately lost tackle Eric Fisher to an Achilles injury, and he will not be playing in this game. They also have a couple more injuries as well. So that's going to be a big thing going into this game, especially against that, as I stated before, that really good defensive line and that big pass rush when you got, Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaquille Barrett, you have Ndamukong Suh, and you have others. So, it's a really great, that's going to be a really great matchup to see in this game. And can the Chiefs, especially Patrick Mahomes, can he pick up on that pressure, and can he get the ball out quick enough, and can that offensive line hold up is going to be some of the things I will be looking for in this game. Second key I will be looking at in this game is, can the Buccaneers secondary, especially their young secondary, slow down the speed of the Kansas City Chiefs, especially Tyreek Hill. Now, what I haven't stated before is that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers faced off each other in the regular season. This game ended up only being a 3-point game at the end. The Kansas City Chiefs won that game 27-24, but Tyreek Hill went off in that game. He had ridiculous stats, and he was just all over the field and just beat that young secondary. And the Chiefs were off to got off to a really fast start. Now, in the second half of that game, Todd Bowles was able to make adjustments, and the game ended a lot closer than people expected it to be. So can Todd Bowles and that defense do a much better job? The problem you really have with that is that even if you slow down Tyreek Hill, what happens with the other players you got to slow down? Can you slow down Kelsey? Can you slow down Sammy Watkins possibly if he plays Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire? What are you going to do? Which team makes the least amount of mistakes? We've seen Tom Brady, he turned the ball over 3 times in the AFC Championship game. Last year in the Super Bowl, we saw Patrick Mahomes uncharacteristically throw 2 interceptions. And that was a big key in that game. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a much better coach team than last year's San Francisco 49ers team, and especially against a quarterback like Tom Brady, you can't afford to do that. So really, I think the big thing I'm going to be looking for is whatever team churns the ball over the most is probably going to lose this game. So my predictions for this game. This is one of the hardest Super Bowls, as I've stated before, to predict. And as the week has gone by, my predictions have been kind of going back and forth. Tampa Bay's got a really great defense, and the injuries on the offensive line for Kansas City, I think, is going to play a major factor into this game. Tampa Bay definitely could surprise people, and I think the closer this game is, especially into the fourth quarter, I think it benefits the home team, I guess, in this game, which would be the Buccaneers, obviously. But that being said, the AFC Championship game performance by the Kansas City Chiefs and just seeing that speed factor, even if they're able to contain Tyreek Hill this time around, I think just Kansas City just has too much firepower. And I think Kansas City, they'll be up in this game. They're able just to pull ahead late in this game, and they win this game 38-28. So what are your thoughts on Super Bowl 55? Who's winning this game? What will the score be? What will be the main factors into this game? And who will be winning Super Bowl MVP? Leave in the comment section below. As always, click like if you like the video, and subscribe if you like the content on my channel. And please follow me on Twitter at BillLazier and at Lazier96. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody has a fun and safe weekend. I'm really looking forward to this game, and I will see you all later.